This is from CNN. Federal agent shoots man, officials say assaulted officer in Minneapolis, prompting protest. What prompted the protest is when Nick Shirley made them famous in Minneapolis with their Somali fraud ring, okay? That's what's caused these protests. Minneapolis officials called for calm Wednesday night. Calm? They brought these people to Minnesota. What do they mean they're calling for calm? Why don't you call these out-of-state agitators on them to leave the state and go back home? How about that? Why, if you want calm, why don't you call on the protesters to leave the streets? If you want calm, why don't you tell the protesters to stop harassing ICE officers? I mean, give me a break. Minneapolis, again, this is CNN. Minneapolis officials call for calm Wednesday night as heated clashes erupted near the scene where a federal agent shot an injured man after he allegedly assaulted the agent 1 week after an immigration agent killed a woman in the city. Don't you love how CNN describes this nonsense? The Department of Homeland Security said federal agents were conducting a targeted traffic stop when the man, a Venezuelan national, was shot in the leg after he began to resist arrest and violently assault one of the ICE officers. The individual was transported to a nearby hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, the city said. In the hours after, demonstrators gathered near the scene, facing off against law enforcement, who deployed multiple tear gas canisters, pepper balls, and what sounded like flashbangs before officials told people to go home. I urge anyone that is at that scene to leave immediately, said the police chief at a news conference, calling it unlawful assembly. The incident comes as the city continues to reel in the aftermath of the fatal shooting of Renee Good. The incident began, the new incident, and again, I'm reading from CNN, so, you know, this is the liberal bias of CNN we're dealing with. The incident began at about 6:50 p.m. and involved a Venezuelan man who Department of Homeland Security said is in the United States illegally. The man fled the scene in his vehicle, crashed into a parked car, and then ran away on foot. The law enforcement officer caught up to the subject on foot and attempted to apprehend him when the subject began to resist and violently assault the officer. During the struggle, Homeland Security said 2 people came out of a nearby apartment and attacked the officer using a snow shovel and a broom handle. So now this ICE officer is taking on 3 people that are beating him with weapons. After the suspect got loose and joined the attack, the officer fired defensive shots, according to the Department of Homeland Security, striking the initial subject in the leg. The 3 individuals, the snow shovel guy, whoever it was with the broom handle, the 3 individuals then ran back into the apartment building, barricading themselves inside. The federal government's narrative could not immediately be verified. Well, I think we could take the good word of Homeland Security, don't you? What, are we supposed to take the word of these Venezuelan illegals that are violent felons that are beating federal agents? Homeland Security did not specify how long they were barricaded, but O'Hara said one individual was shot during a struggle with law enforcement and later refused to come out of a residence. He was removed by federal agents who made entry into the residence and took the person to an ambulance. The officer and initial subject are both in the hospital, and the 2 other individuals are in custody, Homeland Security says. The statement did not detail how their detention unfolded. Minneapolis leaders are asking the city, once again rocked by violence involving federal law enforcement, to remain calm. The violence isn't from the feds. The violence is from the residents, the Democrats, and these outside agitator Antifa types that they brought into the city. All right, that's